Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the markets. That's the crypto market, the NFT market, the metals market, the stock market. We cover everything now because everything's in play. It's a volatile world out there. We're going to be discussing how to make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today. We have Bitcoin down, generating $500 million of liquidations on a 3% down move. Gold is at all-time high again. Silver's at all-time high again. We'll talk about it on the show today. Legendary will take us through those assets. We've got the US administration increasing the heat on the EU via tariffs until they can secure Greenland. As you said, things getting volatile, things heating up, and finally, Trove Perpdeck scandal, as Trove, who raised money on Hyperliquid to build out HIP-3 DEX, decides to move to Solana, and the TGE is delayed to today. Back-to-back interesting piece of news coming out of Trove over the weekend. Brad will take us through some of the controversy happening over there. We've got all of that to discuss. We've got a lot of price action to discuss, a lot of market stuff to discuss as usual. So stay tuned. I've got Legendary and Brad in the co-host seats with me today. We are ready to get into it. But just a reminder, friends, before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is very risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please always exercise your own judgment, have some caution, and best of luck out there because it's volatile. With that out of the way, Legendary, how are you doing today? It's Monday, it's the 19th of January. What's going on?
GM Jim, I'm doing fantastic. I love my AI workflow. I'm about to publish my first tool to GitHub.
Markets are down though, Legendary. You're feeling a bit too happy.
I sound like Brett. I don't care. I don't care about the markets right now.
Who would have thought it? Who
I
would
don't
have
care
thought
about
it?
the crypto markets right now
Does
because
anyone care about the markets anymore on this show?
I think you do.
I do, yeah.
I care about the markets. Okay, correction. That I care about the markets outside of crypto more at the moment because this is also where the majority of my portfolio is
I just
sitting.
went and bought crypto last week for the first time. So I'm LPing though. I've got a nice strategy, I think. So one question, Ledge. I want to give you a chance to speak to your AI stuff in a sec. One question, and shout out to Phunky, who is with us. He replied for me in our Telegram chat. I think it was on Friday or Saturday, as people were talking about, I don't know, everything collapsing or things moving loads lower. He was like, guys, Bitcoin's gone down like $500. What's going on? I think people are like hyper sensitive at the moment. Even I just read a tweet now, like crypto is crashing. Bitcoin's down 2%. Like I just think people are hypersensitive at the moment. What's your thought there? And also feel free to talk your AI stuff and then we'll go to Brad.
People are hypersensitive, but it's been like that ever since we corrected down from the all-time highs, because I feel like we are looking for an answer to see what is the range where BTC is trading in. Are we moving outside of that? Can or could we trust the recovery which we saw to 96K? And because there is this like anxiety of kind of not knowing where the crypto market is going, seeing this big discrepancy, fear and greed for crypto is at 45. For stocks, it's over 60. So crypto is neutral, stocks are greedy. Seeing that S&P hits all-time high, gold hits all-time high. Trump posts that in 2025, the S&P hit, I don't know, 38 or 39 all-time highs, and how good everything is. And not seeing that sentiment in crypto being reflected is probably triggering that anxiety, where on a factual basis, I very much agree with Phunky. The moves are not that big, and it's definitely nothing that we have not seen over the course of the last couple of months, so much on the market side of things.
I love that statistic, by the way. It was like we've hit 38 all-time highs or something. That just means the market went up like 0.5%, 38 times. Every time you make one. I love that stat. We should know how many all-time highs there are each year as the market moves up, as the dollar gets devalued. Brad, how are things your side? How's your weekend? Any commentary here as we discuss the markets, which no one cares about anymore apart from me?
Yeah, if I run through the order in which you just presented stuff to me, the weekend was good. Although I'm a little upset yesterday, I found myself in a situation where I had a lot of free time. Free time in that like,
strange.
Yeah, like
you look lost even thinking. You look lost even talking about it.
Because it wasn't free time, I guess is what. Because like you're gonna hear that in the rest of this stuff, where it's like I perceived free time maybe, versus like I felt like I had free time, and then I was like, I'm really excited. It's like I'm gonna give myself a few hours. I'm gonna Claude goaded. I'm gonna like set up my stuff. I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna do my thing. And then I sat down at my desk. I think I worked like 7 or 8 hours yesterday. Just like stuff kept coming up. Stuff kept coming up. Like you guys may have seen me tweet a little bit, and like it was cool stuff. You've maybe seen some of my tweets. We were talking about the stress test we were doing on Mega, which is cool. You know, we're pumping out 15, 20, 30,000 TPS, trying to see how we're doing. We're playing games while it's doing it. It's awesome. Yesterday, just like feedback. So that was really cool. But yeah, then my day got evaporated. So I never had a chance to even do anything that was AI related other than like my normal prompting. So that was cool. But otherwise it was a really good weekend. I was able to get a lot of stuff. I was actually just thinking about you guys talking about the like it's all time horizons. You guys are just, like the 2% move thing. Like that's how literally everything has felt for me, for you. Like anytime anyone brings anything to me, even if it's like the bigger moves, 10%, whatever. It's just like my brain has been so switched on to just like, guys, it's all like, just don't panic. Just don't panic. And like, you will typically make a better decision. Now, sometimes obviously that means you're holding on to stuff longer than you probably should. But
yes,
like every time we've done something on the market and you guys come to me and you're like, and I do the like shrug thing, it's because like that's been my mentality. Like, guys,
I think it's really helpful. It's really, really helpful though, because I think what happened, and we've articulated this on the show, like as prices went higher, as people took more risk at higher prices, which by the way is the wrong way to do it, you feel the tension go up and the anxiety go up because people are overexposed at higher prices. And I think that's what happens. Like 2% becomes meaningful down because you got in at a bad entry point because you weren't properly allocated early enough. And therefore the anxiety is higher when the prices are higher because your entry was higher. Whereas if you have the long-term horizon, or if you're in from lower, as you say, like the moves that we're experiencing at the moment, okay, it's a bit frustrating that it's not happening at the same, that we're not moving higher at the same time as all these other assets that are hitting all-time highs. So I understand that frustration. But aside from that, I think that's where the anxiety comes from. And there's a lot of leverage in the system as well, where people getting like just, 500 mil, which Legendary we'll talk about in a sec. A small move down with half a bill of liquidations is pretty intense. But we're going to get into all that in a second. Just want to bring Phunky into the conversation. Has his hand raised. Welcome to the stage, Phunk. You want to give us some more perspective here on the market with a bit of wisdom?
We just love hyperbole in this space. Like we're almost addicted to it. With the crazy words, the diction of dumping and all these other things. Like B, you might remember some good moves from the first run you got here, and certainly Legendary would, 10+% moves on Bitcoin were routine in previous cycles, right? Like, and it's funny how people react and the language we use around these things. I think at the time in the modern market chat, I didn't realize that people were talking about the gas token dumping, and I just reflexively look at Bitcoin and I'm like, it's down $500. What are you talking about? Like that was me just naturally reacting because I think in terms of Bitcoin. I don't really ever see it, but it's just kind of comical almost at this point how people talk about our space.
Yeah, I think it is a product of the nature of the space where gas literally gassed up, and the gas is completely, what's the opposite? Inflated, deflated, very, very fast. So that bubble's been burst very fast. We'll touch on that as well in a moment. And a couple of other bubbles burst over the weekend, but we'll get into all of it as usual. Let's get into the main stuff to get you up to speed with everything that's happened over the weekend, starting with the price action. We have Bitcoin down a couple of percent to $93,000. We've got ETH down 3% to 3.2K. BNB's down a couple of percent to $926. XRP's down 4% to just under $2. Sol's down 5% back to 133. We have Hyperliquid down 7% to $24. And Sui is down 12% to $1.56. Getting into the meme coin side of things, Pengu is down 11%, Pepe is down 10%, Doge is down 6%. So a lot of these gains have actually got wiped on the meme coin side. Bonk is down 11 as well. SPX is down 8. Fartcoin's down just a couple. Fartcoin showing strength. I don't know what that means for the market. Whereas Rekt being, kind of separating itself to, it's up 20% on the week when most things are down 10% on the week, and up a couple of percent. We had Ovi on the show last week on Monday talking through how they are building out the physical business. Market seems to like it, to be honest. Relative strength across the other coins. Getting into the headlines we'll talk about today, we'll talk Bitcoin down, generating $500 million of liquidations on a 3% down move, with metals at all-time highs, gold hitting all-time high again, silver as well. We'll talk the US admin increasing the heat on the EU via tariffs until they can secure Greenland. This is getting increasingly confrontational between the EU and the States. So we'll touch on that. Trove Perpdeck scandal as it starts selling its hype as part of its move to Solana. Very controversial. Brad will break down the various aspects of that news. Some other notable price action. Lighter was down 12% today. Asta down 12%. Hype down 7%. A lot of the Perpdex is moving down. Fogo's down 21% as well. The new L1 which launched at, whereas Monero up 9% to $642. Getting into the other news, ZachXBT revealed a large amount of the $282 million Bitcoin and Litecoin theft was converted into Monero. Anchorage Digital could raise up to $400 million in an IPO, according to Bloomberg. Steve Yegi, the Gastown creator, in his latest article, appears to walk away from the gas community, saying, look, guys, it was fun to claim my fees. I cannot concentrate on any work with people I'm paraphrasing, but I cannot concentrate on work with you yelling about this token all the time. And that's what we said would happen last week. So I think we pretty much called that. In other news, X-Creators account announces a $1 million prize for the top article in the next payout period. And finally, Nexo announces a sponsorship of the Audi F1 team. That is the Roundup to get up to speed with everything you need to know in this space over the weekend. Before we get into the main headlines today, Legendary, is there anything catching your attention from this? Is there anything separate? What's on your mind?
It's definitely the Gaston article, because it's, again, hilarious to read that thing. I'm not going to bring it up on screen. It's way too long, but just want to read a single paragraph where Steve is explaining why he had to step back. So he's saying, so I had to step back from the community. I do find it amazing how they band together, dissenting voices rolling around, and yet they somehow collectively find the discipline to act like financial analysts for institutional investors, weighing developer dossiers, product business cases, doing critiques like a collective of professionals, all in crypto bro speak, but it's the same due diligence. The CT community, like any highly engaged stakeholders, were going to be asking for a lot of my time, and there are always strings attached. And I'm avoiding tying myself to any money that makes demands on my time or direction. I've got too much to do to be worrying about monetizing right now. And I feel like this is sort of the realization that a lot of people have had when they're coming to the space. And it reminds me of when, what was his name? Allegri from Blizzard took over Yuga Labs for an interim period of I don't know how many months before he stepped back. And Beanie had this excellent comment on that, saying, like, imagine you used to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, manage stressful times, everything, all the public pressure, and then you get thrown into this madhouse where 1,000 people are screaming at you, insulting you every day about the token price, the Bored Ape price, this price, that price, and everyone's telling you how to do your job. It's probably incredibly frustrating, and we unfortunately have this collective talent as CT to drive out people very, very quickly, because everyone is just focusing on the token price go up so much. Even when Steve posted the article, if you go to the comments, there's people saying, sure, bro, but you could have supported a bit more, and you could have pulled out 600K instead of 300K. You know, you could get more money. Yeah. It is horrible for everyone who's coming to a space and seeing this like massive gold digging and profit optimizing behavior. It's just scaring normal people away, and understandably so. Entirely agree.
I would not encourage you to go look at the comments, because it's basically a waste of time. But the point is, the average participant seems to have thought that it was a terrible decision from this dev to walk away, that if he just did a little bit more work, he would have doubled his own money. And then I'm sure at that point, if he just did a little bit more work, he could double his money again. And then at that point, if he just did a little bit more work, he could double. It's a never ending thing. It's obviously going to zero. And no normal person wants to work under the conditions of thousands or hundreds of anonymous people screaming at them and making their Twitter notifications go crazy. Brad, you are a Twitter user, Twitter power user, and maybe
Twitter all the users.
I'd like to know about that little Twitter meeting that you had on Friday if you can provide an update. But what's your take on this
I
gas
forgot
stand
about
stuff?
that. Oh, I forgot about that.
Give us
Yeah, I'm
the
not
update.
buying bread. I'm not buying bread. Guess.
Tell us
Like,
the gas
just
stand thing
put it
first.
in-
Then.
So like, yeah, I mean the Gastown thing. My opinion on that is like he can do that. I think obviously it's the right move for him. It's less chaotic, but I think the world is going to go that way for everything anyways. Like I think we're trending that way, and that is just to say like tokenization, financialization of everything anyways. I think that's where the world is going. I think it'll just continue to get that way. So I think we'll continue to see instances like this inside and outside of crypto. And like obviously like and I'm maybe I say that as like a way that it's like abstracted. Like I think this stuff will continue to happen and you'll be able to create and trade tokenized shit, and then maybe it'll get abstracted to the point where like you don't know it's a crypto token, but like you're trading things that are worth money that are denominated by you or something you're building or whatever. I think like it'll continuously just be this way. We're kind of seeing it with like WAP, right? Like WAP is a marketplace. People are in there, they're doing stuff. It's going crazy. So yeah, I don't think it'll be a CT thing. I think this is going to be a worldwide thing eventually. It's just like people are going to get this way. So there's that. The Twitter thing. Yeah, I got the quote. And I,
Can you
man,
Yes.
probably. Like I didn't see anywhere that I wouldn't. I'm not buying the fucking thing. So I learned one that the rights you get with it are the same as
Just
like
give people the context in case there's a new listener.
Yeah. So okay, so I put in for bread. Like my current handle is bread underscore. I got that as part of the X marketplace. I wanted to get bread just like by itself, so remove the underscore. And so they told me it's available. They said, hey, you want to hop on a call and do the thing? I was like, yeah, cool. I was like, I told them I'd spend some money on it. So they did the call. And then I had to call and they gave me the quote and they went and talked to finance. They got it approved. I can actually purchase it if I want. And $220,000 it was the price.
I guess would have been 120K, and I thought that's ridiculous already.
Yeah.
220K. What an investment.
Yeah. To remove underscore. I have bread underscore. so quite insane. And that was them acknowledging like, yeah, it's not really a very marketable, like it's not an enterprise tag. Like it's a common word, but it's not like there's no bread company. It's too generic. So
what
like,
they even acknowledged, like, yeah, this is no commercial use to you, but we still want to charge you 220.
Well, I mean, because it's an open market, right? So like but they're saying like it has low commercial use to like anyone because it's like a very generic name, right? There's not a lot of enterprises named bread. Like there's bunny bread, sure, there's stuff like that. But
and wouldn't that mean that they're saying that it makes no sense to spend 220K on it?
Yeah. Insane. Yeah.
It's actually hilarious.
It's incredible. So not doing that. May have to pivot back to bread guy. I'm gonna see if I can talk to that dude in New York. I'm gonna start sending him some DMs again and see if he'll wake up. Spend a couple grand.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So, but the real things, like things I actually want to talk about. One, the Greenland, Norway thing. This is totally anecdotal, but on a space on Friday, a Norwegian guy got on there and he was talking about like the news that was happening inside of Norway and like their positioning on it. And he's like, man, everyone's scared. He's like, the government is scared of Trump. And they're like, they're just straight up saying like, hey, we just need to like try to play it cool. And like, maybe we just give it up. Like we just give up Greenland and we just like, we don't piss them off for anything else. And like, then like we call it square. Like that's what our positioning should be. So like a very passive, like from the top down positioning, which is interesting for me to hear. And then another thing, you're talking about like the on-chain doing whatever. So maybe check the meme coin wars, which I know we covered on the call last week of just the pickup on Solana activity. And I saw that Bags app actually surpassed Pump Fun on daily graduates, notably. So 194 on Bags versus 146 on on Pump for a graduate on this is the 15th, 16th, it looks like. I'm trying to get the update on Doom, but it's still running. So insane to the point where it's actually flipping. Go down. Like there you go. It's in that column above you. One more. There. So you can see the spike of Bags. That was Friday. I'm running it. That's me running the query right now to see if I can get some updated information. But that's crazy. And and I've been hearing people talk about it on the timeline, but I haven't been participating. This is all part of the TikTok stuff. I saw there was like a launch on TikTok account that was spun up. So like there's a lot of things going on. Plus there's the vibe coding thing. So there's a little bit of a narrative revival in the trenches, which I think is just generally good. I don't know if that's like a precursor to everything else, but risk appetite seems to be coming up. And then in TradFi world, have you guys been paying attention to Galaxy?
Not specifically.
We've been talking about it on the call or the show. Obviously, previously, if you
Yeah.
go to Galaxy, bro, it has been rip roaring through the new year. It was up as high as 42, but before the end year, it tanked all the way down to like 20, 25 bucks towards the end of the year, and now is surged all the way back up to 34. So it's a little bit of a roller coaster. And I'm trying to see if there's any news that has happened recently, but yeah, insane. I mean, I have a position there, so I'm happy that it's reclaiming a lot of this, but I was hoping we can get some information on it.
Can we see this
40%
on?
up over the last month.
Yeah, a lot of things have moved in that way. So okay, but still, say you bought in the summer.
Honestly, all-time high is at 41. We're back at 34. It's not too bad.
Not bad at all, given that like that's a kind of crypto, a more formal way to get crypto exposure.
It's actually more AI now.
Is it? Okay. So
Yeah.
a little bit of
like
both.
yeah, I gotta understand like the full structure of it, but the general thing was like, yes, it was namely a crypto thing, and then in the like throughout its existence, it acquired some stuff, and then a lot of that stuff is physical data center space. So like it actually has bought up a lot of that stuff, and that is actually turning out to be a revenue generating cow for them. So now it's a little bit of an AI/crypto play.
Okay, interesting. Ledge, did you want to come in on that?
Just that the 40% move is very significant. Completely missed that.
Okay, good stuff. I mean, Brad mentioned there being like a bit more risk appetite. Maybe just from my side, maybe Legendary is going to talk about it more when we talk about majors selling off a little. Definitely feels like people are ready to bid stuff. I think it's all linked to the Trump volatility. He's back like swinging at various things, and I think it's going to cause a variety of volatility. And I think there'll be one big opportunity this year to buy a dip, basically. But I also think what gold is telling us is that people are, starting to opt out of even maybe potentially US equity. I think US equities are very, very high here. I still think they go higher, but I don't think with the same velocity that they've done before. All right, let's get into the main stuff, Ledge, because what we're going into is kind of related to all the next set of conversations we're going to have. So let's get into the main headline first, starting with Bitcoin's move down and some of the other assets that we keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'll give a quick market overview to see what is going on, starting with the ETF flows. Friday ended on a negative note with 400 mils of outflows. Nonetheless, it was a week with positive inflows, which was carried by mostly 2 days with 840 and 750 mil in net BTC inflows. Moving on to the liquidation side of things, over the last 24 hours, everything is green. That's not good. As per usual, it means longs have been liquidated, and that is to the tune of a total of 788 mil of longs being liquidated, mostly in BTC, 233 mil there, 156 mil in ETH. So that BTC move, couple percent down, has triggered almost $1 billion in liquidations. That is it on the crypto side of things. As we also have mentioned, both gold and silver are having a wonderful day. Gold is up 1.6%, almost at 4.7K, $4,670 to be precise. Silver is having a wonderful day, equally up 3.7%, $93.50 flirted with $94 earlier in the day. That is just incredible continued performance, and still continues to be the strongest year start for silver since we are tracking this asset's price in the history of silver, which is in the modern history of silver, I shall say, which is an incredible performance. The stock side of things, that is looking a bit more fearsome. Said it before, stock market is driven by greed, but coming out of the weekend, And I know this happens obviously with less volume on the market. The Dow, S&P 500, and Nasdaq futures, all of them are down significantly. Dow is down 88 bips. S&P 500 is down 1.1%. Nasdaq is down 1.5%. Obviously, all of that has to do with the Trump tariff war being back and extending once more to Europe, and the Greenland conversation intensifying. There is another piece of news which I want to touch on to that, which is a great Kobesi article, which also has been shared in our Telegram, which goes through Trump's exact tariff playbook. But I'm going to hold on to that until we have probably covered the tariff news a bit more extensively. But I think this is really relevant to understand what's going on in the market.
The update, I think. Okay, why don't we just roll straight into the tariff news, actually, because then we can kind of discuss these two things together. One question we will have to come back to is why, again, is gold up on all of this news and Bitcoin is down? All of this news. Can't run away from that question. It's a question that we need to answer. So we will answer it today. But before we get there, this tweet kind of summarizes the tweet that Trump put out. This is from Amit is Investing, saying these are the headlines: 10% tariff on Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, Netherlands, and Finland. All are lumped together in this. If they don't help to force Denmark to comply over Greenland, then I guess they are in it as well. It goes live effective February the 1st, so it gives everyone a couple of weeks to prepare. The tariff will increase to 25% beginning on June the 1st, which gives them, a few months at the 10% level. I suspect this is not a real expected number, because the expectation would be that this ends way before 25%, let alone 10% would be my expectation. But that is the threat that is getting put out there. Said tariffs will continue until the US reaches a deal to buy Greenland. That is the summary. And if you watch, I'm going to try and find it quickly, and maybe we can watch it briefly. If you listen to Scott Besson on Denmark, there's a few clips going out from him with some commentary about Denmark. It's like incredibly strong words. Really, really strong words suggesting that the Europe can't do anything with it. They're like completely vulnerable. They can't. It's not worth Europe holding, more or less. Maybe try this clip, Legendary. I'm just going to send it to you in our Telegram and see if we can listen to what Scott has to say. It's very much suggesting that there will be no conflict if Greenland, but Greenland has to submit, and he explains why that's the case. Let's see what he said here.
You said, but I just want to ask you big picture. Is this a negotiating tactic, Mr. Secretary, or is President Trump serious about annexing Greenland?
President Trump strongly believes that we cannot outsource our security because, Kristen, let me tell you what will happen. And it might not be next year, might not be in 5 years, but down the road, this fight for the Arctic is real. We would keep our NATO our NATO guarantees. And if there were an attack on Greenland from Russia, from some other area, we would get dragged in. So better now, peace through strength, make it part of the United States, and there will not be a conflict because the United States right now, we are the hottest country in the world. We are the strongest country in the world. The Europeans project weakness. The U.S. projects strength.
But just very quickly.
So interesting story emerging here, or interesting narrative emerging here, which is this idea of like this future war in the Arctic. We need to be able to protect ourselves. Europe will not be able to do anything. And that's why it's just absolutely essential that Greenland is handed over. They've obviously said they're willing to pay for it, but it's interesting to hear the way that it's being spoken about, because it sounds like there's going to be no compromise on this. is my reading of the situation. And if there's going to be no compromise on it, and if you have read some of the commentary about it, like the reaction from EU people, Brad mentioned maybe in certain countries, in Norway in particular, maybe there is a little bit of trepidation. I've heard at least the leaders of some of the bigger European countries saying like, no, you've actually got to draw a line here. Keir Starmer responded by saying, I was going to say President of the UK, Prime Minister of the UK kind of responded by saying like, look, this is not how this should be done. So it looks like people, at least for the short term, are going, this is going to be an issue between Europe and the States. That will mean, I think, some increased volatility, and I suspect assets, hard assets, to continue to go up as people get decreasingly certain that the old world order is intact. Europe and America going at it, whilst America is also going after China in different ways, right? Is quite destabilizing in general. So that's my take. Those are my thoughts at the moment. Ledge, coming to you first for some thoughts. Brad, coming to you for some commentary, and then we'll try and make sense of this.
I feel like it's important to have this distinction that there's two things going on at the same time. Like one thing is the Greenland arc, which probably has the potential to induce volatility for a bit of a longer period of time. And then you still have the Tariff arc, which is interrelated with the Greenland arc, but is also like used sort of leverage to increase the pressure on Greenland, but is also impacting the markets and probably is still following the typical tariff playbook. I quickly wanna run through that because I found it helpful for my market understanding again. So as you said, acquisition of Greenland, new tariffs, blah 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 blah, and the tariff playbook, which we have also seen is which we've seen play out over the last years. Friday we have cryptic messages signaling tariffs. Shortly after, large new tariff is announced. Saturday, Sunday, doubling down on tariffs over the weekend. Countries started the hardest will respond, signal willingness to negotiate. Sunday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern time, futures reopen. In this case, on Monday night, stock market futures drop in an initial emotional reaction to the tariff headlines, which we've seen now just reported on futures being down. Then we have Monday, Tuesday, continued pressure. Wednesday of the same week, dip buyers are stepping in following weekend, which is a week later. Discussions are underway to find a peaceful solution. Sunday evening of this next weekend, futures open sharply higher as optimism returns. After the Monday open, senior administration officials like Bessent appear on live television to reassure investors and emphasize progress towards a deal. And over the next 2 to 4 weeks, various members of the Trump administration continue to tease progress toward a trade agreement. Trade deal is announced, market hit new record highs, and then repeat from step one with new tariff threat against another player. Timing is key to that. The one thing that the Kobesi letters are pointing out that with this Greenland arc, basically, there's certainly a bigger risk implied to that, and that could extend that period of uncertainty and volatility because it's more than a simple tariff threat.
Interesting. One thing I want to point out here is noticing that all of this stuff happens on the weekend now. Don't know if you guys have noticed this, like everything always happens on the weekend. And it means that, I don't know, people start scrambling over the weekend. I think it's almost part of the strategy. It's like cause confusion. Market doesn't even know how to react because the market can't react live. So cause confusion over the weekend. Don't let the market react live during the day. And then, yeah, we see where it goes from there. Brad, coming to you here for your thoughts. Then the next question we want to think about is gold and Bitcoin. What's going on? But your thoughts first, Brad, and then maybe moving it into that secondary part.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts drift from the specific thing and more about, man, we're going to continue the defense sector. I know you've already been talking about it the last few weeks, just like crypto, AI, defense. Is like we're going to continue to see turmoil. Like this is like the iteration pace and the instances where this kind of conflict or just like unease, because it's not even like there's necessarily a conflict here, but just like there's a lot of jostling going on now.
Yes,
and
jostling.
When there is jostling, there is posturing, and when there's posturing, there is like yeah, defense. Like at least one of those two sides is defending. So man, like as from a market perspective, it just means it makes me want to try to get some exposure to this. And I think there's actually an ETF, Shield, SHLD, I think is what it's called, which is just like an ETF on defense.
It's like shield my portfolio from whatever.
Yeah, like I mean, if I have two, like obviously crypto's a little risk on. You have, yeah, maybe this is but I need to dig more deeply into this, just to like round out my portfolio.
Yeah, just an early idea here. Interesting. That's something to look into. Just a quick shout out to Matthew in the comments. He did just replying to our previous point about Galaxy. He said it went up on data center news. They'll also announce new partners before end of Feb. And then Duck Dive in the comments said, we're approaching gold-backed assets. If you think that's impossible, I'm not sure about the second part, but gold-backed assets was the main point I'm taking away there. Ledge, why is, in this like increasingly volatile thing, we have to come back to the question, which is important. Gold is up almost, well, more than 1.5% on this weekend news. Bitcoin is, liquidating all the longs. Is this more confirmation that gold is gold and Bitcoin is not digital gold or any other type of stable asset? What's the thinking between these two? You're on mute.
Thank you. I think it's this narrative purity concept, which I mentioned. That is to say that gold is the hedge against uncertainty. That has worked out historically. BTC has provided that for a couple of years, but then it came at the center of the attention of the US administration and suddenly was a strategic part of that. And they have a crypto strategy, and there's been talks about getting an actual BTC reserve and all these things which we've seen play out over the last year, which have been beautiful, have made regulatory progress, have sent BTC to all-time highs. But BTC is now more strongly tied to what the US administration is doing. So if this is what is causing you uncertainty or anxiety and you want to hedge against that, you probably can't do that to the same extent with BTC anymore, because it is has so much become a relevant asset to the US administration. So you need to turn to something which has always worked as a hedge for uncertainty, risk, insecurity, global conflict. And with all of that happening, with Trump saying that the defense spending is to increase from $1 trillion to 1.5 trillion, et cetera, gold has historically been the answer to that. And now it has probably the purer narrative than BTC to fulfill its role. So this is why I'm thinking that it's continuing on its trajectory upwards.
I have one final point to make on this. I think those are fair points. One final point to make before we hit the next headline. It's this idea I introduced quite a long time ago, and I've been thinking about it a little bit more. The idea that Bitcoin represents USA and gold represents China. In a different interview, and I listened to a lot of the interviews with Treasury Secretary Bessent. I listened to a lot of the interviews with Lutnick. I can't listen to all the interviews with Trump, although they are pretty classic and provide a lot of laughs. Should listen to some more. I think they're very revealing in a lot of ways. And when asked about where all this demand for gold is coming from, I'm pretty sure they've articulated that, like, look, it's coming from China. The market's kind of articulated that. Bessent articulated that. And I'm kind of the opinion that, how we talked the other day, I'm trying to connect a few dots here. Remember we talked the other day about how EU stocks, like, yes, dollar assets and equities are up, but you've underperformed gold significantly. You've actually underperformed EU equities. You've underperformed Chinese equities. You've underperformed like other equities if you're just in the US stock market. And I think people are like realizing that more and more and are looking for ways to bet on places and people and institutions and companies that are not US based, because if your currency is one thing and your dollars keep getting deflated, even if the equities go up, you're not winning. You're not winning as you should be. And in some level, I think gold is becoming a way for people to get exposure to China, frankly, because you're trying to not have exposure to the dollar And if you're not having exposure to the dollar, you've got to pick. Is it China or the USA? And gold is the thing that the Chinese are buying. And if you're thinking that that's the thing that will be stronger, even though it's a historical strong thing as well. So, irrespective of whether China was buying it or not, that seems to be where the demand's coming from. So it's kind of like a proxy way to get exposure to China. I'm not like fully set on that idea. I just wanted to articulate it. And I just shared this in the chat, Ledge. I don't know if you saw this. This is the real concern, I think, for the West as it has previously been perceived. Mark Carney, I don't know, what do they have over there? President, Prime Minister of Canada? I can't remember. Tweeted this 2 days ago. If you're the USA seeing this, again, I haven't actually looked into all the details, but you are probably asking the question, what on earth is going on? Mark Carney tweeted, the Canada-China relationship has been distant and uncertain for nearly a decade. We are changing that with a new strategic partnership that benefits the people of both of our nations. And I have seen like an increasing narrative or set of points being made that China is not looking to be this aggressive with European powers. It looks like the relationship with Canada is going fine. I saw Balaji make a prediction that LA would side with the Chinese Communist Party, for example. That's within the US. And then you have like the southern states that will be more pro, what represented America previously in maybe a more fatalistic perception of the way the world is going to go. And I just think there's something going on here where it's like, you've got to keep an eye on, America's being increasingly volatile with its historical partners, and China, as maybe those relationships can get weaker, could see that as an opportunity to consolidate their relationships with those people. People might know when the British left Africa, since then, China has moved in and really consolidated a whole host of business practices over there. And they run a lot of the business stuff out of Africa, including some other places too in that region. So just a thought that I've been thinking about and worth digesting. I spoke for quite a while there. Ledge, any reflections here from your bread?
Yes, absolutely. I used the time to get some data on this, which is confirming what you just said. Just to give you some of the facts there. Gold extended its strength in December. We all know that. It's best annual performance in decades for also the Shanghai benchmark gold price. Then the interesting things are coming. Chinese gold ETFs have witnessed inflows for 4 months in a row, ending 2025 as the best year ever. Total assets under management surged 243% to $35 billion US. Holdings more than doubled to 248 tons of gold. Meanwhile, the gold futures volume at the Shanghai Futures Exchange reached the highest on record. And then the People's Bank of China, PBOC, has announced gold purchases every month in 2025. We covered that, which the part that I didn't know is that they also ended the year with an additional 27 tons purchase of gold. And now they're up to 2.3K tons. Which is 8.5% of the total gold reserves globally.
Interesting stuff. If people are curious, I'm still a buyer of gold, to be honest. And I don't think I'll stop. Like, I'm not. I bought another reasonable tranche maybe a week ago. I bought more yesterday. I don't think I'm going to stop, to be honest. I'm not kind of concerned about a top hit personally. Brad, any final reflection here before we get into the next headline?
Only on, actually, we've been discussing this for a long time. And I remember it was probably 6 months ago at this point, I feel like, where I was like, man, just like put on a low levy long on gold, like, and just sit on it. And that was before, like, there was a huge run up that obviously pulled back. So, like, depending on when you got in, if you got in around that point, like, may not have worked out, but man, had you done that, I don't know, 4 to 6 months ago, you'd be cooking. You size up 3x and just chill. Just kind of anecdotally, gut was right. I did it for a little bit, but I pulled out whenever it was it had that run. Could have just sat on it.
Gold and chill. Maybe that's the new thing.
Yeah. Like, this is beyond, like, I know what we're talking about here, but it's just like a global TWAP on the asset right now with all the unrest, right? And then like the globalization of the world and everyone wanting to go to something that is not owned by a singular entity. It's just like,
yeah, indeed. Okay. And look, I think, one of the things we're trying to do on the show as we move it forward And as the world gets more complicated, like, yeah, we used to be crypto only. I know that that's still our expertise. We're going to keep covering crypto as much as we can. I just think some of these things are too important and affects everything way too much. So we're going to keep trying to cover these other things and share our thoughts on it as we develop. We're still like sharpening our thinking in these new areas. I think we've been relatively good on them so far, at least in practice. Although I'm certain sometimes it might sound like we don't know what we're talking about, but instinct sometimes, as Brett said, like we're not like macro experts, but something inside us a while ago said start buying gold. Ledge did it at top of year. I did it a little bit after, and probably didn't get enough. But we're going to keep discussing it. Moving it back to crypto though, bread and butter. Bread. This is a classic story here of crypto silliness. Let's put it like that. What is the Trove story? What do we need to know? Who's making money? Who's losing money? What's the key headline here?
I'll tell you who's making money. Who's making money is the people who were affiliated with Trove, making money off Elon, because these people are getting because they're getting impressions, because they are getting murked on the timeline. They are doing that because of Trove. And Trove, for those who are not aware, is a we'll call RWA category perps, specifically on like collectibles and stuff. So I actually knew about this team long ago because they approached me and I was like talking to them. I was like, interesting product, like it was whatever. So like Pokemon cards are going crazy. You want to do a long on Charizard? Yeah, makes sense. Now the problem is obviously with doing perps on a liquid asset is like you have to price the thing and it's very tough to do. So do people actually want to speculate on it, or do they actually want the physical collectibles, TBD? Anyways, that's the product. The thing that is notable here is their path to market, we'll say. So Waz actually has a pretty good summary, emphasis his on how it came about. And his summary is, Trove is one of the biggest ICO scams he's ever seen. Shame on everyone for doing paid shills for this. So they announced a launch on Hyper EVM to get exposure. They botted their test net to get more hype for the raise. They did an angel round, 50% under the ICO price, which got a bunch of KOLs on board. They distributed their badge to a bunch of people. The ICO overfilled and they extended it only to take that back. And then they said, hey, we're actually going to launch our token. And that I should have said this entire thing was based in the Hyperliquid ecosystem. So they're going to use HIP3. That's how they're going to price their perps. They're going to do it all through Hyperliquid. They raised in Hyper EVM. But then after they did the ICO, obviously back and forth, they said, we're launching our token on Solana. And that just threw everyone through loop or pissed off, like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, this is like, that doesn't belong over there. And then MLM, who is a notorious on-chain sleuth, especially in the Hyperliquid ecosystem, saw that the hype that they had purchased in order, like, which is a requirement. If you were into a HIP3 market, you have to have a certain amount of hype so that you can actually do it. That was starting to be unwound. And then as it unwound, you can see here, he has a little comment from the team of like, what's going on here? And it's like, guys, the LP is getting a little shaky. We're just pulling it out a little bit, letting these guys really, simmer down. And then after all this, more FUD, more craziness, they just did a full-on pivot and said, okay, the entire product actually is going to be on Solana now because that 500K hype position was removed. That was the last thing that was structurally tying them to Hyperliquid as a platform. And now they had full freedom to do whatever they want. And they're just going to attempt the entire product now on Solana. Lots of drama with that. And anyone who had a badge, like if you were on over this weekend, you probably saw one or two images that was a collection of anyone who sported a Trove badge at any point in time saying block, do whatever. Yeah, pretty crazy. Lots of drama. Project just started on Hyperliquid and is now going to Solana.
Pretty insane story. It's one of those, I don't know, I think people actually are enjoying the story because it shows how ridiculous crypto can be. And I guess it's part of its nature in crypto that in a permissionless ecosystem, like these types of things can happen. Like, I don't think this can happen in any type of even semi-regulated environment. You'd think even in a permissionless environment, this is so shameless that it wouldn't be possible for people to think. Because the thing is, if you're going to rug, maybe you just disappear with the money. These guys are like out here being like, nope, all right, guys, we're just going to go to Solana. By the way, the LP is just a bit nervous. So we're just going to, we're just sorting out the selling. Don't worry about it. Pretty crazy stuff. Ledge, I don't know what you think about this. I wanted to create one idea I had in the chat in our Telegram chat, I wanted at some point to create a memes and memories channel where people just post like these little moments. And I feel like this screenshot that we're sharing on screen would be in there. And it's the tweet from MLM for the people who are listening in only. A screenshot of the conversation with someone who works at Trove saying, being asked like, what's going on? Why are you selling on the hype? Said, no, we're not selling. LP is a bit nervous. That's it. That's the explanation for why $12 million is being sold on the market. That would go in. What do you think? Should we create that channel? Do you think that'd be a good channel? Let us know in the chat if you think that would be a good channel. Ledge, what do you think?
I think we should take it further. I mean, given that there is, you have Confessions, you have this account which is basically collecting all the posts of people saying that ETH is dying. Like, I don't know, Shameless Crypto, and collect posts like that for the whole world to have this beautiful archive.
There was another one that actually happened this weekend, which you guys probably missed because it was very nuanced. So you remember our multi-sig issue, right? Where we had chud.eth who submitted so he did that for another chain.
Oh.
Hey.
Yeah. So like one in iconic images, like just him going, oops, like that's one that you should definitely drop in there.
Yeah.
But this weekend, so Sonic Labs, they're supposed to do a burn of the unclaimed S token that like just had accumulated over time. They had a scheduled burn, and he just did a post over the weekend. He's like, Sonic Labs continues to be a bunch of headless chickens and not doing whatever they're saying. So he's like, so I did it. So he burned all, like it was like a couple $100,000 worth of S. He's like, I triggered it from their stuff for them. He's like, I did it. And then they took a picture of that and quote tweeted it or posted separately. They're like, as scheduled, we have gone and burned up the S token. So it's just funny. He's back at it again. Guy's an on-chain menace.
Gosh, I think love it. You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh in these scenarios, and you gotta sway these opportunities. Like I can imagine there are a lot of people who are not happy here, are not finding this funny because maybe they contributed to the ICO. God knows what's going to happen to this token now when it comes out. Let's see. But you've got to pick up on the signs. There was a lot of chat around this ICO in particular. I think maybe one of the issues is there was a lot of undisclosed advertisement of this by some pretty big names. I don't think the fallout of that has fully materialized yet. I think some bigger people will get slayed as part of this. I don't think that's going to be complete yet. But as it relates to you taking responsibility for your own actions, don't be swayed by people. Assume that maybe some actors who are anonymous online, crypto KOLs, might not be being completely transparent with you. Got to make your own decisions. Got to read the full information. MLM had been posting about Trove, I think, for a while, saying that, and look, it's just one data point, right? But you've got to make your own decision. I know it fooled some smart people as well, so there's no guarantees here. So sad if you lost money on this. Take it as a learning. It happens to all of us at some point. Ledge, maybe coming to you for a final take here as we close out the show.
I'll pass my final take to Phunky, who has his hand up.
I just wanted to say I was using Trove and I saw multiple red flags stacking up as I've been using it because I've been just doing a lot on Hyper EVM, hoping that a second airdrop is going to hit there. And I thought, oh, this is cool. I don't have any kind of edge. B-check, I'm sure you find that funny, trying to trade these RWAs like Charizard and CSGO skins and stuff like that. But I was just having fun on the test net, and I applied to be, there was also a big trading competition that they had advertised where they were going to give money away on the TGE, and I got accepted into the trading competition, and they were only taking 100 traders. And I'm thinking, there are people who have way better P&Ls than me. Why are they taking me? But maybe because I'm a real person, not a bot. And the first big red flag was they had where you could check your points for your activity on Hyper EVM. I had 0 points for Felix and 0 points for Hyperland. And I kept going to the team, showing them screenshots. I'm like, I have all these points that I've stacked up across months. Can you please fix my points? They're like, oh, we're working on a fix. We'll get it fixed. And then I kept coming back to them week after week. And then finally, literally the day before they announced the TGE, they said, we're not going to fix your points. There's nothing we can do at this point. And luckily, I didn't enter the ICO because I was so frustrated with it, and I thought the terms were a little too good to be true. So yeah, this is a very telling lesson, and kind of I love the idea, by the way, about the memes and memory channel.
I like it. We got to do that at some point. But look, I think that's really good, man. Well, it's not good that it happened, but it's good that you trusted your instinct. I think that's a perfect example in this space where do some DD, do like, and if you get those people showing you who they are, like just being either incompetent or lazy or not willing to do what you think would be a minimum expectation for the delivery on their product, trust your instinct. Like you got to trust your instinct. People are just showing you who they are in those moments. And so I think you've got to do that. And you'll, we always say in this industry, it's like, it's about survival, got to survive. And you can really, really thrive here as long as you don't get rugged in the multiple ways that you can in this space. So good learning. Maybe we are going to create the memes and memories channel, which is conveniently can be shortened to another MM for Modern Market. We've got to figure out how we can do that nicely. But that's the show for today, guys. I hope you found it interesting as always. Just a reminder, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, live on X Video, YouTube. And you can catch us on Apple and Spotify and TikTok for the shorts. Thank you to Legendary and Bread for co-hosting with me. Thank you to Phunky for his contributions as always. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Take care. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.